like what MLB players wear, Oakleys, almost. Um, and on the back of the leather jacket is emblazoned a fair play logo. And clearly, Michael has been inspired by the Spectre story of Terry Sloan, and he introduces himself as Mr. Terrific. And Holt proceeds to take down uh, the hoodlums' bosses. But then the Spectre returns, and he's about to render judgment on the three youths. And Mr. Terrific steps in and says to Spectre, "No way. No, you don't. They haven't done anything." And Spectre says, "But they have intent in their minds, and they are going to kill someone. So, for that reason, I am going to render my judgment upon them." But Mr. Terrific doesn't back down. And he says to Spectre, "No, you're not. These guys are now under my protection. I'm Mr. Terrific, and I protect these streets, and I protect the people on these streets." To which the Spectre starts to get his back up and makes a deal with Mr. Terrific. He says, "If you wish to take the responsibility for these youths, then fine. But understand that if they do commit any acts of evil, it will be your soul that I will be coming for." And Mr. Terrific doesn't flinch. He says, "Fine, yes, they are my responsibility, and if you have a problem, you can come deal with me." And at that, the Spectre flies away. And here we get some really great inner dialogue from the Spectre as we see that this was really a bluff on the Spectre's part. The Spectre, or perhaps Corrigan, says to himself, "Excellent, Michael Holt. I needed to make it appear to those youths that you were strong enough to stand up to me. And you showed them that you were, in fact, brave and strong enough to stand up to someone such as me. And this is what will lead to people having respect for you." And the Spectre muses that he has witnessed the birth of a new hero. And of course, Michael Holt would go on to become one of the uh, best respected, best loved even characters of the pre-Flashpoint era. A lot of people think that Michael Holt as Mr. Terrific made his debut appearance in the first story arc for JSA, and that's not the case. I want to say it was in issue somewhere between issues 4 and 6 of JSA where Michael Holt made his first appearance, but it was really his first or second rather reappearance, because he makes one more appearance before the final page of the Ostrander-Mandrake run on Spectre. But really neat that in JSA, Jeff Johns and company picked up on Michael Holt's earlier introduction here in the Spectre and were simply reintroducing him to the fans of a JSA. Neat that Mr. Terrific wasn't introducing himself to everybody on the JSA. He would be introducing himself to the new recruits to the team. But more on that later. Of course, Michael Holt, prolific character within the DCU, not just within JSA. For a time, he was a member of Checkmate in the post-Infinite Crisis period. He was carried over into the New 52 continuity, where he would eventually meet up with the New 52 incarnations of longtime teammates, including Jay Garrick and Alan Scott. It's had a couple of interesting character developments, not completely well received in the Futures End storyline. More recently, in the Terrifics book, I think there may be a greater number of fans who are more familiar with Curtis Holt from the Arrowverse. And while I do find the character of Curtis Holt somewhat endearing, my preference is for Michael Holt. I just like that he's one of those really upstanding characters. He's very compassionate, but very even-mannered, knows what to do, is just a natural-born leader. I really like the character of Michael Holt, and so it is really neat to see that his debut appearance came in the Spectre and not in the JSA. So looking at the time, folks, I'm thinking what I'm going to do is that I'm going to dedicate part 7 to looking at the rest of the first year, or the rest of the last year, very sorry, of the John Ostrander, Tom Mandrake run. I just don't want to get cut off mid-sentence. Again, all of the issues from the Ostrander-Mandrake run are available on Comixology, and you can certainly, in advance of Part 7, go to Comixology and download some or all of the final 12 issues of the Spectre run. It's really great stuff. One of the most powerful endings to a comics run that I have ever come across. And just a sweet ending too, not just for Jim Corrigan, but for a number of characters who appeared throughout this magnificent run. And I think Part 7 will probably do it for episode 124. And then looking ahead, probably move on from the Spectre, look at some other fun topics, a couple of topics which have been suggested through recent fan feedback. But then certainly down the line, there will be Hal Jordan and Crispus Allen as Spectre Spotlight episodes to look forward to. So in the meantime, folks, if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at comicsandhistory@gmail.com, or you can head on over to Facebook and look up the Comics and History Facebook page and leave me some feedback there. Click like on the page so you get regular updates about future show releases. And Part 7 will come your way in a very short 14 days. Until those 2 weeks have come and gone, this class is dismissed.